Welcome to the Echo Podcast. Today I'm sitting with Christina Mills. Thank you so much for joining us. Christina is a career advisor, and I think her story is so important. It's a story that needs to be told. But just to give you a little glimpse into that, Christina has been in the world of education and specifically a career advisor for high school and college age students. And her faith-based, mission-driven approach, I believe, is what these kids need to hear, and the message that's coming from her is incredible. So again, Christina, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So tell us what you do. What is Mission Match and how did it all start?
I moved to South Carolina from Oregon, and there I was working at a school most recently. Had a long career.
Was that what kind of school?
An online charter school,
Okay.
and I was the career development coordinator there. And actually, I still am. I still work there as well. So, I spent like 7 years working with high school students. And we moved when we moved to South Carolina. I needed to start it here because I had so many parents come up to me when they found out what I did and say, "Hey, can you help me with my student? My student is lost. Can you help?" And so I just started helping people on the side, and there was just a demand for it. So I think it's actually snowballing into something bigger, which I'm happy about because I feel like it's a culmination of a life work.
You mentioned that people reach out to you for help. Now, what does it mean to be lost? Because you use that word. Like, what does that look like when a parent says, my child is lost? What does that actually mean, lost?
I think a lot of it has to do with there's a lot of changing dynamics in the workforce, and young people, they don't know where to go after high school. And there's a lot of anxiety out there just because we are in the post-COVID, technology-drenched time in our culture, and it's impacting our kids. And I hear from the moms, mostly the moms and the dads, who they just see their kids. They see their kids suffering and struggling and aimless, and they don't like it. So a little bit of purpose and direction really can light a fire under somebody. And when I explain to them the particular platform that I use and how unique it is and how it really helps guide them along the path and really light up their path for them. And then I've also kind of combined the unique kind of assessment tool that I use with kind of like hands-on career connections. It's a very, very effective process.
Okay, so what you're explaining to me is a couple things, but it's really an ecosystem. So there's an assessment and there's hands-on experience, but before you can really see what those tools and ecosystem can do for a student, you have to understand where they're coming from. And they're coming from this place of being lost, which looks like confusion. But you also mentioned anxiety. It's a huge one. So to that point, you mentioned an assessment and hands-on practical training, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what each of those things are?
Yeah, so there's lots of assessment tools out there, and people use Myers-Briggs and Clifton, StrengthsFinder, and all that stuff. Those are all really good, but the assessment tool that I've kind of landed on combines an interest profile with a very unique kind of method where you play brain games to find out exactly what your unique talents and aptitudes are. So it's not like arbitrary. It's not like, oh no, I feel this or I feel that. It's like actually how your brain is wired and what you're wired to do. And then that tool matches your talents specifically to tasks. Now, just let that sit for a second, because it goes talents to tasks, and nobody really thinks about that because they figure out, oh, what I want to do is I want to be a firefighter or I want to be a police officer, and that's good. Yeah, but do you have the talent to do that well? A lot of people don't know that there's a lot of reporting that goes on in police work, and if you're really not good, maybe with your visual comparison speed, because you're going to have to do reports a lot of times, maybe this isn't the career for you because it's going to be frustrating, right? So it really pairs your talents to tasks, and it doesn't just go by like a job title. And it doesn't just go by, well, I feel like I would be good at this. It just measures in a very concrete, in a very specific way. And it also includes an interest profile, but it's something more than just an interest profiler and a personality test. It combines all three methods, which I think is like well-rounded and like a holistic approach.
What is important to me about what you're saying is you want to be able to speak about career and a job, even, let's say, without the baggage of the feeling you get thinking about that job. Now, if that makes sense, I want to just talk about that for 1 second. A lot of times, especially in our social media driven culture, and this isn't about bashing social media, but you see an image of a man in a police uniform, right? Whether it's on your phone or even in real life, and you get a feeling associated with that. I want to help people, right? So I'm a helper, I'm a protector, I'm brave. So I automatically, hypothetically gravitate towards that identity. The problem is, and I've been in this position in the past, that's not really what happens when you enter the police force. You're not asked about how does it feel to be a police officer. You're asked to run, to train, to fill out reports. Now all of a sudden you're disillusioned and you're like, what is this? I thought that I was wearing this uniform. It's supposed to make me feel this way. That perspective that you're offering, I think, is really, really important. It's the middle ground. We're not saying being a police officer is only filling reports out, but we need to lean more towards that way to help people understand what the job is. Mm-hmm. And that goes into the practical side of things. So once you have an assessment complete, what happens after that?
The first part is the assessment and trying to figure out, like, it's a discovery phase. You figure out kind of like you're awakened to your talents, what they are, and it's not like you really didn't know them, but the way that we discuss it identifies and highlights things you really already knew about yourself and made sense but didn't have words to describe. Once the discovery phase is over, we do some like investigation. So we look at the job from the tasks and the day in the life perspective, and we go deeper into that. And I let people sit with it for a while. They should pray about it, and they should consider this. They should consider. I mean, part of this for me, as my faith comes into this, you bring God into the mix because He gave you your calling, and this is kind of bringing it all together. You shouldn't really walk down the road of career investigation, in my opinion, without bringing God along, because He will direct your path. So. That's definitely my flavor of career investigation, is that it's not just it's not apart from God, it's with God. So then that being said, I let people sit with it and sit with God and figure out like where they land. And there's a lot of different careers that show up that they would be good at. They probably had never even heard of half of them, but we explore like what they are realistically. And then there's a pathway on how to get there. And the career that they opt for may not be immediately accessible, right, without a few steps along the way. So we come up with a clear path that includes educational requirements for that career. And then there may be a ladder within in the corporation or the sector to get there.
I think that it cannot be stressed enough how important it is to state the fact that I've always seen what you do as a ministry to people. Because you think of what is ministry or what is helping, what is serving, it's really coming alongside of someone, but it's not doing it in a way that's going to leave them confused or stressed out, because they already have anxiety. And when you have a lot of these assessments, I think they create more anxiety because you don't know what to do with it. You're sitting alone on your computer or your phone as a kid, I'm imagining. And it's like, you see these results, you may not know what they mean.
No, usually you won't know what they mean. It needs to be interpreted.
Yes.
It's complex.
And when you're 17, for example, how well do you really know yourself? So someone could tell you something about yourself when you're 17. You don't know how to even interpret that because you don't have someone else there that could lead you and guide you to say that what that actually means. And I think that's an issue with a lot of assessments. It's also an issue when you get your assessment back. Let's say you do figure out what it means. Sometimes it's hard to figure out, how do I get to that place now? Because you're just going to be funneled into a major, right? When you go to college, okay, I'm a business major, and then when I come out, I'll figure out what that assessment meant later on. We just get so lost in it. So the point is, the assessment is a powerful tool and it's a good assessment, but you don't leave it there. You have coaching, counseling, and interpretation.
Yeah.
You don't leave it there either.
No, I don't leave it there.
You continue them along the process of, well, let's let you see what it feels like, because you already have a preconceived notion of what that is. Let's get you in it to make sure that everything lines up for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, people can stop there, you know, if they feel like they want to just stop there. But for people who want to move on, then I can get them like a career connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Which
think
is,
that's especially for my college students, that's what they really want. High school students are not always ready for that. And I think for my high school students, I really involve parents a lot more. Parents are the ones who really see the value. The high school students don't as much see the value right away, but the parents do, and the parents are really brought into the process.
That's great. The parents should be, in my opinion, in the process. Obviously, that's very important. How is career connections different than an internship?
An internship is part of it.
Okay.
So it really doesn't, you don't just start with an internship, because internships can really go south.
Right.
So the student needs to have a certain maturity level before I would even put them in a situation where they would do an internship. And I think it really just starts, they kind of need to prove themselves in the process. So if they want a career connection, I just start with like a meetup, a phone call with someone who's currently in the field. It could be either a Zoom call or a phone call, or maybe I would start them off possibly with a workplace tour, help them prepare with questions.
So Zoom calls, phone calls, those are informational. It's step one. I see a very methodical approach, which is good because you can't overwhelm the child. A workplace tour. Is there anything else? Because I think that would be great too, just to see what it smells like and feel what's going on there, right?
Well, I mean, that's important because I think, I mean, if at all possible, you know, I think it's just, you know, trying to develop partnerships with people in the community who kind of trust me and know what I'm doing. And actually, because of what I mentioned before, we're like post-COVID technology drenched, our students are just like more and more afraid of meeting people, talking to people, and going out. Maybe some people don't have that much, but I'm finding more and more of my students they don't even know how to make a phone call. They only, they're so much more comfortable with texting, and they don't have the skills. They need to be taught the skills for, you know, more formal professional communication. So I kind of guide them along in those, and I help them along that, but just to get them out from behind the computer and behind their own like four walls, and then, you know, basically teach them like the social skills that they need for success that I think this generation was robbed of.
That's a big topic.
It's big. I mean, people need like good, healthy relationships with
real human beings. With real good people. Good people.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's not. Yeah, so I think that's really important, is finding quality people to partner with, and you know, I don't want my kid to work or be mentored or, you know, have any kind of business professional relationship with just anybody. They have to have the values that, you know, like they'd be honorable people with you know, good values.
Yeah, and obviously that's a benefit of you being able to work and pre-vet and set up these connections and be the trusted person to do that, which is good. But I think I want to stress the value is just so much more than what it seems on the outside, right? Because you can, any business, any person can list their services. We do this, 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 and this. Okay, and that's really great. We want to be clear about that. But talk about value. If you're coaching someone or counseling someone, giving them an assessment, the goal is to get them into their mission, right? You're matching them with their mission, hence the name Mission Match. But along the way, they're gaining so much more than that because they're learning how to put themselves outside of their comfort zone. That's a huge blessing to someone's life. They're learning human interaction and communication. They may have never been on a Zoom call before in a professional setting. That's a huge value add for somebody, right? And when you're 17, you might think, well, that'll all come into place, or it'll all fall into place. We'll figure it out. Maybe, but why not be ahead of it and get all of the other value that you're bringing in?
Parents really have the peace of mind. So I think for the high school students, it's kind of like, okay, they kind of get that their student isn't ready yet for the next steps, but they in general have a confirmation of like, or like a green light forward in a particular direction, right? So after that, they know like whether they have like, okay, a green light, well, I'm going to go to college or I'm not going to go to college. It's not for me. But they need to know the pathway forward before they make that decision.
Right.
College isn't cheap. So
Do you have any numbers or statistics on college tuitions? Because I can give you my experience.
yeah, it's
But
like
where are we at now?
40,000, and then
Yeah.
you're hoping for some scholarships. Scholarships are really hard. There's certain things that makes scholarships easier. There's some forms you can fill out and do a bunch of scholarships at once and stuff like that. But usually it's very specific. It takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication. And you don't have a lot of time to do it, right? Because like so many scholarships you have to kind of weed through because you don't qualify for them. You don't match, but it has to do with your family background, your ethnic background, your hobbies and interests, whether a scholarship is even available. It's like a part-time job just filling out scholarships.
Yeah.
So that can alleviate that. And then each school has their own financial aid package. So, but you're talking like 30, 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people want to go to community college first, but then when you go to community college, it's like, there's no community college. It's like, it's really, I mean, it's like, I think when you go to college, like right out of high school, it's like what you get is the social component, right?
Yes. Good point.
That's important, and I definitely wouldn't send my kids to just any college. They definitely have to match my values. My Christian values are very important to me, and I just think that there's a lot of indoctrination that goes on at universities. I mean, that I don't want my kids to have that. They come back and they're like, "Who is this person with these?"
Right.
So you got to be aware of the values that do they match your family values? Don't send them there. They're, what kind of groups are they going to go in? Like that can help anchor them. That's what I would really, do they have a plan to be anchored? Otherwise they can not be like, what do you pay? Is that what you paid for? Is that what you want? Like, like they get lost again. They might find their career, but they get lost in their, their foundational values. They don't match. And then, oh my gosh, Thanksgiving's miserable. Where are you coming from?
Political debates and all the things that transpire.
I don't want that.
Yeah, you can't gain the world and lose your soul, right? Because you could make a good career choice or a good college choice and then lose who you are and lose your way. But that you mentioned your faith as being an important part of what you do. Can you tell me a little bit about your master's degree in theology and how that kind of plays into everything you do?
Yeah, so I have a master's degree in theology, and I also have a business degree. So I was working on my business degree, and I was like, I went to a community college, and I felt lost. I was a sports person. I played softball, so I had some connections with my teammates, which helped a lot. But other than that, I mean, I wasn't able to meet anybody or have any kind of friendships like in my classes because you meet and then you leave. And then finally went to a 4-year college, and I got involved in a faith-based group, which made all the difference in the world. I had a great time. And then so I was pursuing my business degree, and I had like I guess I would just say I just had a conversion experience where I wanted to go deeper, in my faith. And I didn't feel like I had a really good faith formation. I felt empty. So after I got my business degree, I did some, I would say, missionary work, work in youth ministry. And I thought that was a lot of fun, but I wanted more. I wanted to learn at a deeper level. So yeah, I finished my business degree, and I went to a particular college to study with a particular instructor, professor that we kind of share as a mentor.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I went to Franciscan University, and I studied under Scott Hahn and he's mainly why I went there, because I wanted him, and really only him, to teach me about the Bible. And I definitely had a love for the scriptures, and I wanted to go deeper. And I had I didn't want, there's a lot of most schools I wasn't even going to go to. But this is a very spirit-filled school, and I just, from now, I mean, even now, I'm just a Franciscan girl. So anyway, so yeah, I got this master's in theology and was around the greatest people in the world, people that I'm still friends with today. And it was a fantastic experience. I always had a knack for business. But I also like had a knack for ministry too. So I actually was puzzled by the whole thing. I'm like, God, what are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. But I figured I just had to trust him that he was going to bring it together somehow. And then it was like, yeah, I met my husband and we worked in ministry together. And then it got like when we started like, you know, family life, it was like unsustainable to work in ministry. So we both went into business and it was hard. It was hard to like be working in ministry, then go back into business and then build my career, grind it out. And it was never really very satisfying, but at times it was really fun. And I still felt like a longing to get back into ministry. I felt like something was unfulfilled. But and there was times where I was questioning everything, like, oh no, I missed something. You know, I had classmates that were doing amazing things for God. And I was like, oh, you know, just had a deep longing. And for a while I was just like, you know, I didn't even want to talk to anybody from, I mean, but that was it. I think, you know, even you and I were talking a little bit before, like you can be restless in that. And then it takes a lot of spiritual maturity to know, okay, God's got me.
Right.
Patience for impatient people.
Yes.
It's okay. I think God's saying, okay, you need your patience and you need to trust me and you need to build your trust and you need to build your patience and you're not ready yet. I'm like, okay.
It's not easy.
No,
it's not an easy journey. I don't think we talked too much about it, but I got a master's in theology as well. Did the whole ministry to business to combining them and figuring that process out. To that point though, everyone has their own story. And I think everyone needs a guide. And being that guide, you were impacted by Scott Hahn, came alongside of you in the spiritual way. We need the spiritual mentors because they're not only going to tell you, you know, did you pray today? Did you read your Bible? Are you fasting? And all the things that you can say. I'm not saying those aren't important. Those are obviously important. But what about the mentors that say, how are you wired? How are you going to navigate this interview? How are you going to figure out what the next 10 years look like? I think that's probably one of the most needed things for young adults, for young people this day and age. So back to that vein, what is the most common thing that parents ask you when they reach out to you?
It's like for the parents, it's almost like a cry for help because when you carry the crosses of your children and when they're not okay, you're not okay. And moms especially, they're, you know, they're going to look for anything that's going to make their kid just feel better and be on the right track. So, I mean, that's what, I mean, mostly the people that approach me are moms. The kids don't even know how to reach out to me. They don't even know.
So that's a good point. They don't know how to reach out to you. And we don't even know if they feel like they should reach out to you, right? Because they're not mentally there yet, but the parents are, right? Because they're standing in front of them looking back and they're like, oh my goodness, this is crazy that they're suffering. They don't know what they want and they're feeling the pain that their kids are feeling. So the parents are the ones always that are reaching out to you on behalf of their children.
Yeah, the students don't know how to take the next step. They don't know. Yeah, you know what's really funny is that the parents are like, when they figure out like what I'm doing, they want it for their kids and they're like, actually, I want this for me.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. Like,
well, it's never too late.
No, it is never too late because they feel like they missed it. They feel like a lot of people are out there. They feel like they've missed in a way their calling. But that's a whole other conversation because I think what we need to really get back to is this is another important part is that we've deified careers and made them an idol, and that needs to be broken apart, smashed.
Tell me about that.
Let's talk about that. Okay, so I draw a lot of inspiration from the Bible. Okay, so from Genesis. So Genesis chapter 1, our first mission was there. Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. So family life is embedded in there. Your first mission is family life. So don't underscore the importance and the value of family. That's your first mission. Period. So I ask my students, like, what's your mission? Like, why? What's your why? You need to know your why. Why are you doing this? What is this tied to? Okay, so when it gets really hard, like, what else is going to keep you going? Like, I mean, I'll ask you, like, why do you do what you do? It's your family.
Right.
It is your family because there's a practical component to it, but you're doing it for your family. You have a lot of hard days in life, right? A lot of hard days. There's a lot of times you feel like you're going to give up, but you don't because of your family. You keep going. So they don't even think about that. The kids, it's like, well, what do your parents do? I make them tell me. And then I'm like, okay, well, why do you think they do it? And they tell me, well, I'm like, do you think they do it because of you? Do you think they love you enough to keep going, that they're always happy? And like, well, what about you? I mean, your first mission is your family. So even a lot of people who feel like they've missed their mission, they really haven't, because the primary mission is your family. It's Genesis.
Yes.
The second part is also in that Bible verse, because it's like, fill the earth and subdue it. Okay, so you're going out because there's something that needs to be battled with. There's a battle there. So you got your family, and then you're going out into the world, and you need to make the world a better place. You need to bring the light of Christ out there. You need to penetrate the dark world and bring light. So that's just from Genesis. So there's mission. There's your mission. And there's a particular way that you do that. Another Bible verse that I draw a lot of inspiration from is Psalm 139. Okay, so it talks about like how God knows us, right? I know when you sit and when you stand. I know your thoughts from afar. You're fearfully and wonderfully made, right? With reverence, right? So that means God knows you particularly well. He knit you together, so he knows what you're supposed to do. He knows what he's made you for, right? And what are you made for? Well, in this life, I'm made to know him, love him, and serve him in this life, and be happy with him in the next. So, boom, like, let's just go back to our roots.
So you're saying you want to smash this idol.
It's a lie.
Because it is a lie.
It's a lie, especially like, just for me as a woman, I kind of like, I can't say that there weren't times that I didn't like I kind of advanced in my business career. I advanced to a certain level, and there's times I felt probably a little like good about that. And then after a while, it sucks the life out of you. It's like, it takes the life out of you, and you're like, this isn't what I thought it would be like. What I really want to do is be with my family. Like, I was told a lie. I believed a lie that like this career and this advancement and like get to this place where I've arrived, it's going to make me feel so good and drained and miserable. I have to work all day not to make dinner, and then I have to be there for my family. And now I'm grouchy. So it doesn't really work. I mean, I actually had a really good place. I've worked in a really good place with really good people that supported a lot of family life. But a lot of people don't have that. And so I made it work for a while until it, wasn't my calling anymore. And I quit, and I stayed home. I was happy, very happy.
You're smashing that idol of career by making the heart of the mission about faith and family and the things that God originally gave to us as our primary mission. And you're ordering it back in the right way. Is that part of it?
I would say, yeah. There's a time in your life where, like, I'd say especially for men, that they need to go out into the world and provide for their family. Their core, core to them is being like husbands and fathers, is to being protectors and providers. And like, I embrace that. I think it's awesome. Women are nurturers and life givers, right? But there's a time, we need to, even as women, just get out into the world and work. You never know. Women are called to be helpers, even from like going back even to Genesis. I helped my husband, and I'm happy doing that to support him and do whatever I needed to do to support the family. And I've known people who have had women who have taken on the primary role because they've had to through death or illness or a redirection of a career. They need to be that help and support. So it's very important.
There's no shame in that.
There's no shame in that. It's
Correct.
very important. You're actually leaving yourself pretty vulnerable if you don't.
Right.
But God always takes care of you, and I think you should follow what God wants you to do in the moment anyway. So elaborate on that a little bit more. Is another inspiration is talents, the parable of talents.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is I focus a lot on talents because God gave you. I mean, part of Him, how He knit you together is that He gave you talents, and it's kind of a parallel with the parable of the talents. It's this wealth that God confers. And it's in Matthew chapter 25 at the end, The first two like multiply their talents and then the last guy buries it. And I'm like, you better not bury your talent.
Right.
You better not bury your talent because it's not a good result.
No.
No, on that one, if you read the scripture, it's not a good result.
Yes, definitely not.
But you definitely get a lot of, blessing because God is pleased. And I want at the end of my life, God be pleased with what I did.
That's a heart disposition right there. And I think one of the warnings that we should be telling people who are burying their talents is you may not even know that you're burying your talents. They don't have that person coming alongside them to help them. So that's a good warning. But I wanted to talk really quickly about something that I thought was fascinating. I was at my daughter's graduation, and she was graduating from an elementary school grade, 3rd grade graduation, and they went up and they asked all the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Okay, so one by one, they give them a little diploma, and this is at the local co-op. It was adorable. It was great. And it was like, police officer, firefighter. And I was dwelling on our conversation coming up, and I'm in this experience, and we didn't talk about this yet. And I'm like, that's so interesting. But we did talk about the question of what do you want to be when you grow up? I will say though, first, by like the 6th person, someone said, a little girl said, a mommy. And everyone's like, had this visceral reaction of joy. Everyone was like, yay.
I love that you brought that in there. I love that reaction that, it's kind of like taking the pulse. You had the opportunity like to take the pulse, right? So yes, authentic femininity means that women like embrace motherhood, and wherever you go, like make it come to life, bring life where you go. That's what women do really well, is bring life to it. No, I think that's beautiful. I do ask that question of my students. I ask the question, when you were little, do you remember somebody asking you what you wanted to be when you grew up? I say, what did you say? Because I think sometimes in the hearts of young little ones, like they're so pure that like they can hear God even sometimes better. And sometimes God like points them in a particular direction. I've heard people who see like a priest when they're little and like, oh, I want to be that. I want to be like that. Or they see a firefighter and they want to do that. And they do, So I think their early intuitions kind of do matter. And then sometimes the world tells you can't do something, or they hear something that like, presents an artificial barrier, like they can't do that. Like I was recently working with a student who was very gifted in art. And she was very, very down for the duration of time I was working with her, and just had a lot of I can't messages that I had to really work to unwind over the course of the time we were working together. Eventually it happened. And I just started to see her brighten up and lighten up because she had all these talents surrounding art, and so she basically had a recovery of what she had originally had the intuition to do. So I do ask that question, and I kind of don't. I just want to see if like there's been something stirring since their youth that we can recover and kind of go from there. But what I think the dangerous question is, like, sometimes like our high school students get that question like right when they're about to graduate. They get peppered with the question like,
Yeah.
what are
The
you
last
gonna
minute,
do
last
with
ditch
your
effort.
life now? And we're like, I don't know. Like, it's
Uh,
a little overwhelming, and they don't know. Like, and it's a lot of pressure.
how else do you help people with their identity? Because you're very clear on gender roles, if you could say it that way. So male and female, sexes being different, having a beautiful and unique way of existing in the world. Do you talk to them specifically about being a man or a woman first, or being a provider, a protector?
You have to meet somebody where they're at and build trust first. So it's more, it's just starts like from that point of view. I mean, I think if you call forth what's internal to them, like
Right.
women beautify, but they bring life. They're life bearers, and they can make something, make life out of something. You can like you bring life to your dinner. You make these dead ingredients turn flavorful and amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like you bring life to your ordinary life. Bring life to your family in so many ways. I don't like hammer people with that. It's super important to meet people where they're at. Find out about who they are and their story, and then kind of build from there. So super gentle approach. But I mean, I would call about that. I would call their I would identify points in conversations where I can speak to the gift of life for women, and then the idea of being a protector and a provider, and the boys and the men. Because they resonate with it. I don't have to do anything. It's in them. It's like it's a spiritual DNA.
Yes.
I didn't put it there. I just know it's there.
You're tapping into something that's innate in them. You don't have to have a heavy-handed approach. You're not there to convince anyone and force them into anything. I think that's the whole point. You're there to just help them see who they are, and like as a clear reflection of who they were made to be in God's image, with that gentle approach. I mean, that's how God deals with us. It's amazing how your lane is just so clear to me. I want to hear though a little bit about some stories, if you're okay to share. I mean, have you seen that light bulb go off for kids?
Yeah, I have seen the light bulb go off, and that's why I do what I do, because it excites me and I get happy, really happy about it, right? I have recently been working with a student, a college student, that was about to graduate with a degree in cybersecurity. Told me he didn't want to do cybersecurity. There's things he liked about cybersecurity, but as he got into that major, he was going to be completely bored with it. So we did some career exploration. We went through the results of his assessment, and he reflected on the results, and he came back that he wanted to get into education.
Wow, really?
Yeah, we identified a specific career within that sector that he wanted, and I got him a connection. And he has been happy, very happy with the results. I've spoken to him about, well, how do you feel about the way things are going? And he's like, realized that, in cybersecurity, which is a really good field to get into, he would be really bored, and he would be like isolated behind a desk, and he didn't want to do that. He wants to help people. So he wants to help people. He wants to be social, much more of a social need that he had to realize than he originally thought when he went into that degree. So I just kind of helped him identify the pathway toward that. And that whole, what I'm so happy about is that layer of anxiety, like a wet blanket, is lifted, and the pathway lights up. Yeah, and then just some other students that I've been working with. One girl knew what she wanted to do. She wanted to get into medical, like a medical technology position. So I made her reach out to the organization and request an informational interview. So I guided her through that process. And boy, her lighting up when they call me back.
And how old is she, just for
like 18,
my understanding? 18.
18.
Okay. Yeah.
They call me. So she didn't want to go to college. She's open to going to like a 2-year, but yeah, so she was excited about just being able to talk to somebody that was already doing what she was doing and that they called her back. It was like so important.
There's just so much more that I think God is after than just knowing that we made the right choice. He's after that encouragement, that smile from her, like all the little things that are really, really important. And those two examples are cool. I mean, I've heard of the cybersecurity field being a great field to get into for years. And like you said, it is. No one's going to deny that. It's not a bad field. But when I was growing up, there was the hot topics and the hot careers too that you just hear so much about. You assume that you should think about it. Like my own personal story is growing up in the 90s with all the boiler rooms and the stockbroker world. Like that was a big one. Everyone's like, be a stockbroker. It's a great career. So I actually was licensed. I got my Series 7 when I was 18 years old, and worked in that field until my boss got arrested. We won't get into that, but I think the issue is when we hear this is a hot path, this is a lucrative career, this is going to get you X, Y, and Z, we automatically identify with it. And we assume that that's something that we should be doing. And I wish every single person could have someone like you alongside of them just to flesh that out a little bit, right? Because, thank God I didn't get arrested, and I wouldn't have, because I wasn't doing anything illegal, but they were there. But, the consequences of this are really, really serious. And I want to talk a little bit about those consequences. The biggest consequence of not knowing what you want to do and is the amount of money that you're going to waste in college. We joked about that before.
Yeah, it's not really a joke.
It's not a joke. I think kids don't understand what it's like to have the student loans. I mean, you hear people complain about their student loans, but when you're in it, you're like, I'll figure it out. No, that's it. Like, we need to talk about that.
They get it. They don't want to pay any more money. Like $30,000 is already a lot. And if you make a mistake and have to go another year, that's definitely a pinch. I mean, these times, right? So, I mean, it's best to do the assessment, because it's very specific and it dials in. It's so much less subjective than anything else, and it just gives you better results. So you don't make the mistakes that if you want to go to college, you can go. But then there's also the fact that, it's a $30,000 stopgap, right? While you're building your skills. You do gain a lot of social skills, and you do gain things in college, like mostly like the soft skills. You have to learn self-management and responsibility. Those are all things, and discipline. Those are all valuable things that you learn in college. But the reality, the dirty little secret, is that when you graduate, you still start at the bottom, right?
Right.
So you're going to start at the bottom. Like if you get a biology degree, right? You're going to start and you want to be like, and you go into medicine, you might have to start as a CNA still. You can just go into CNA school.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways. My trying to say is that you can work your way up from the bottom. Right. So, and if you think you're going to start at the top, you really are not.
What I like about this, let's just be clear and say, for the record, you're not an advocate for any particular college or college at all. You're agnostic to it, right? Because there's not a one-size-fits-all path, and that's the beauty of what you're doing.
Well, you have to evaluate, do I need this for college?
Yes.
Like some certain careers you definitely need a degree for. There's lots of ways to get your degree without, and you can save money. There's ways to cut corners with the costs and stuff like that. You just have to evaluate, do you really need this? Like I was working in business, and a lot of our director level people did not have degrees at all. They came up through the ranks, and the value of their the institutional knowledge and their experience outweighed the person that came in with the degree. Eventually, if you went higher, you probably needed a degree, but the company's going to pay for that anyway. If you're going to be a sales rep, you probably don't need a degree, but you're going to start at the bottom, right? No matter what. If you're going to be in management, you don't need to have a degree to get in management, but you want to go higher up in management, they probably do want you to get a degree before you can get that promotion to the VP level.
Yeah, and there's no VPs that are 21 years old that just got out of college. It just doesn't work that way.
I mean,
maybe there is, but
there's like some prodigies out there, I imagine.
Of course.
You can do that,
yeah.
right?
It doesn't apply to most of us.
No, I mean, I don't know. And the trades are, just really accelerating a lot. A lot of people are moving to the trades.
Yeah. So let's talk about options for someone who's 17 years old, for example, right? You have obviously college, you have not college, you have trades, which trade schools would be a form of, continued education in a specific field. And what about gap years? What do you think of gap years?
Yeah, I think they're great if they're structured.
What would the perfect gap year look like for someone?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the perfect gap year would include travel. It would include like some internships, job shadows, and job. It would be like job shadows moving into internships to build skills. It would be volunteer experience, and some kind of mission activity, serving
Yeah.
others. I mean, that's what I would do.
Are you planning gap years for students? You are. Okay.
Yeah, I'm planning gap years. I'm just starting into that. But yeah, partnering with different organizations to facilitate those gap years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think people should sit around in their gap years. It's not going to help for a gap year. It's not going to.
Yes.
It is
It's not an
not.
excuse to just stay in bed.
It is. Yeah, and it can be unless you have a good plan in place.
Right. Well, I've heard people advocate for gap years as like everyone should have a gap year. And a part of that sounds right to me. It's like, okay, take a break, go into the real world a little bit and serve. But if you're not going to do that, you waste the gap year and then it's a different problem.
Yeah.
You mentioned travel though. What do you think is important about traveling?
I like to experience different cultures and kind of find out what's kind of going on. I have known people that have gone to other countries and taught and made a lot of money, learned about the cultures, come back. But again, I think that you should be busy during your gap year, and I think you should work. You need to get, the soft skills are super underrated, or they're super important. Like that's the main thing that is the barrier, is the maturity, and putting yourself in situations where you're going to activate those soft skills, are basically like virtues in a way, adaptability, self-management, teamwork, communication. When you're right out of high school, you don't have those skills developed to the degree that you need to be successful in really have a career. I don't think a lot of people are just ready to jump into a 40-hour week workforce at 18. I think that is a lot like that'll suck the life out of you too. So it's a time in life where, graduating high school should be celebrated, and that's a great way to celebrate. Really what you should be focusing on your gap year is skill building and volunteer work, because you line your resume with that, then you're something different. Companies really want to see, what can you do on your own?
Right.
Yeah. Can you start something? Yeah. Can you show me something? Like they want, can you show me your plan? That your gap year can be like your, like a resume of activities that you did. Line your resume with that.
Wow.
And so it's a great story, and it just shows that you are you're capable of problem solving and all these skills that you're going to need, and not to be constantly manage you're capable of operating without having somebody hover over you all the time. Independent thinking.
I think we need these strategies to be set in place for kids going to college or not. So if you have a gap year, make the best of your gap year. If you're going to college, make the best of college. I never heard someone say, go to college and find somewhere to serve, a mission or a church or a ministry on the weekends or at night. Everyone's like, go to college and have a great time. Party. Nothing wrong with having fun. But if kids were equipped a little bit better to say, well, hey, I'm in my second year. Let me start looking for ways that, let's say I'm interested in the medical field. Let me serve somewhere. Let me even go to a soup kitchen. Let me talk to people. We are not thinking like that. And we're training our kids to not think like that, which I think is a really big problem. And you're helping to solve that problem.
There aren't a lot of options out there. So, I'm creating opportunities and options that are accessible and, steps that are manageable.
But what does the process actually look like for the parents?
Yeah, so I have a basically like a discovery call with the parents, and I kind of explain that how it's different, and they catch on really quickly. It's not a hard conversation. they get it, and they're like, okay, so let's book a time for my student.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will. So this is assuming that it's a high school student. Normally, the college students will be prompted by their mom and then call me or reach out to me directly, which is fine. And then we book. I just take some time to get to know them a little bit and talk to know them. I want to find out who they are, what are their interests, because that does all, like, what are they interested in? What do they like to do when they're not working, when they're not in school? Like, what do you find yourself doing? What's your creative outlet? What do you like to do? Some people like to draw. Some people like to play video games. Some people like to are really into sports, because that'll all tell you like which direction that they're inclined to go. So I find out like a little bit about them and a little bit about their story. Sometimes high school students are a little bit difficult because they climb up a little bit, but just keep it really light. And then the next meeting would be to I give them practical instructions about taking the assessment. Assessment can be done in a day or two, and then we book another time to talk about the results with, if it's a high school student, for sure, with the parents there.
Okay, so parents are always there for the most part.
Yeah, with high school students, the parents need to be involved. I mean, it's okay if it just doesn't work as well, because I really like to create conversations between students and their parents, high school students and their parents, because parents usually have a wealth of information. And a lot of students think they know what their parents would be willing to do and what they wouldn't be willing to do, what they'd be supportive of, but they don't always talk. So it's like, I think it's important to create conversations.
Yeah.
And create like agreement and support around the plan, right?
Yeah. So there's a support system that you're building.
Yeah. So like if they want to, like I had a student who thought, well, I can't go to college because it's too expensive. So maybe he had been hearing about like money issues, and they're like, oh no, we want you to go to college. We have a plan in place. We've been saving all this money that he didn't even know about. So he was putting a barrier that didn't exist because they hadn't had the conversation.
Do the parents see the results of the assessment normally?
I send the results to them, but I walk them through it, because otherwise the assessment is complicated and doesn't make sense until I explain it. So like, why? Because like some of it's like numerical reasoning, and that doesn't mean that you're good at calculating math. I'm terrible at math. This assessment doesn't work. Well, that's not what it means. It means you're good at pattern recognition and, recognizing, like making numbers make sense. And, you can understand and analyze data. It has nothing to do with calculating math.
Right.
Nothing to do with a math problem at all. Because I'm not good at math, and I scored high in that area because I can easily analyze certain things that other people can't, like results and stuff, and make it make sense. So.
But what about in terms of you navigating through like the connections that you're making with people in the community? Do the parents usually give you some feedback on that? Like, I don't think this is a good idea for my son or daughter, or are they just seeking you?
No, I don't. I wouldn't put a student, students wouldn't go alone. The high school students wouldn't go alone to meet with an adult or anything like that. Yeah. And most of them a lot of these are on phone calls, and this network is being, built up.
Sure.
So I'm seeking local partnerships for that. But a lot of it is just I form a partnership when I have a need, and then I have a network.
Okay, which makes sense. So the network's growing,
because it's growing and it's being built, and then I can go back to a partner that I've used before. Yeah, and then the network that I'm building and the business partners that I had, like, kind of remember that stage of life, and they were like someone that have helped them. Yeah,
so there's this level of empathy where they're able to actually
yeah, and then sometimes there's a lot of work, like it depends on what it is, like make sure that the students have that's more of the internships. I've created internships before, and then walked students through, and you're really managing both sides of the relationship, with the partner understanding what the needs are of the student, and you're trying to make it a very successful experience on both ends. And so I kind of know what that I know what that looks like, but it is something that is built over time, and then it's kind of dialed in.
You mentioned just now that you created an internship. Tell me a little bit about that.
The best internships are that you bring a student in they get to see like a wide variety of the different aspects that are involved. So there was a student that wanted to be in film, knew she wanted to be in film, so I helped get her an internship at a studio that did different creative work, in particular like commercials and stuff. So she got the internship and just absolutely loved it, but they had it perfectly structured. So she did a little bit of digital editing. She was on the set when they filmed. She did marketing and media. And I think she realized that like she thought she was going to really love digital editing, but she loved marketing and media more. But it was nice because it was like 2 weeks with this person, 2 weeks with the camera guy, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. And then it was just like a full experience. And then every year when she came back from college, she went to college for film, came back, and she just jumped right in and helped them with whatever their projects were.
Yeah,
so
that's amazing.
That was a huge win.
Because I think we assume that we should just take an internship.
No.
Well, have we vetted what that internship is?
Yeah, I've been,
right?
I was on an internship on my own, and I felt kind of left alone with a project that I couldn't handle. And the person that was sponsoring me didn't check in enough and didn't help me through. Like I wasn't really ready for that internship, and I didn't feel great about it. So that's like an example of how it doesn't go well. I had a student that was on an internship that he wasn't ready either. So that's why I've kind of pulled back and dialed it back a little bit. Like really having a clear plan in place on the side of the host organization. Like, do they know where they're going to go? Do they know what they're going to be doing? Is their role clear?
Right.
And then the check-ins are very important. So I check in, make sure things are going well on both sides. I alleviate tension. Like if there's like a communicate, like any issues arise, I mediate.
You're solving so many different problems. I mean, I think the first problem with internships is, coffee runs that never end, right? Or just needing a free worker. Like being more intentional about what an internship is. And I get it. I mean, a business may be like totally over leveraged and they don't even have the capacity and they just need an intern for whatever reason. But if you're on the other end of that and you're the one as the intern, you better vet it first before you take the wrong opportunity.
Your personality has to, if that's what it's going to be like, you're going to have to be a person that's really good at being adaptable, good communication. Self-management is important. You'd be able to be work independently. Can you jump in here, jump in there without like much and keep yourself busy? That is the ideal person for that role. If it's going to be a little more unstructured, then someone has to be okay with in an unstructured environment. And there's some people like that. Other people would like die in that environment.
Right.
Like, I am so angry right now.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me. What are you doing to me? So that you kind of have to know, what's going on there and check in. And if there's if there's ways to like smooth something out, work your way in, and then it could be a positive experience.
Right. And that's the goal, obviously, to make sure that this internship is a positive experience, that it'll grow you and you'll learn. So now back to the question of the process. So discovery call, assessment, and maybe I'm skipping some, right?
Well, a discovery call and the assessment, then the results review, the interpretation. Yes. After that, then you decide. Are you happy with it right there? Do you want to go further? There's ongoing career investigation that I partner with people for. That is helping people kind of sift through tasks and responsibilities and day in the life and kind of narrow down. Which ones, pick 3, and then it's explore. It's like, do you want to go further with a career connection? Let's find out from somebody who's working in this field.
So there's an iterative process to that, if need be, right? So like whatever adjustments we can make those adjustments, continue, and then we get to an end point, which would be, what would the end goal be ideally?
Well, I think people have a different endpoint. What does success look like would be different for people, but I guess when you have that, where you're going and how to get there, and you have that blanket of anxiety, it would be lifted, and what your next steps are. I mean, just do the next steps and then come back if we have to go back and through the process again, because eventually career, like how many jobs do you have? Like 11 in your life? Like you have a
Yeah.
lot of different jobs. So you're always going to have to like go back and navigate, like, what do I want to do and how do I get through the job cycle again, just the job search cycle.
Yes.
So you might be able to get to a point where you can do it on your own. But if you need help going back through, like, I can do all of that.
I mean, it is so clear that you're not offering assessments coaching, for example. Let's just pick those two. You're offering healing and equipping. Healing, which is removing that heavy blanket of anxiety, and then the equipping is turning this young adult into someone who could think strategically on their own and make these really big decisions for themselves with the help of their parents, which will always be there. But those are the two things that I'm hearing, which are really, really big things. Now, keep that in mind, right? Healing and equipping. If we can get personal for a second and you think back to when you were 17 years old, do you think things would have been different for you if you were able to have Mission Match just as a process on your side or not?
I think I would have probably gone in the direction that I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I just said, well, I'm just going to go into business and get a degree in business, and I'll figure it out from there, because that's broad and I'll be like managing somebody somewhere doing something like that. And then I remember I had a crossroads between marketing and human resources, and I wanted to help people. So I went in the direction of like human resources to help people. And I went, and then like it just sort of unfolded before me, options. And I just picked the best of my options each opportunity that I had at every crossroad, I would say. So for some people, I mean, I was just I was comfortable going in that direction.
So you didn't at that point in the past.
Point, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I would get that question in high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just picked something very broad and went in that direction. I'm going to start at community college, and I was comfortable with that plan. But then when I got to community college, it was so boring, and so I just lacked community.
I do see what you're offering as a very holistic approach.
Right.
You're going to need one of them, the healing, the equipping, or the community, right? So those are the three that I see.
And when I was in college and I was making those choices, I don't think people had the degree of anxiety that I'm seeing now.
I would see that
at all. Really, depression wasn't a big thing back then. I didn't know a lot of people that were seriously depressed, but now it was like everybody is battling like anxiety and depression. I don't know many people that aren't anymore, any young people, or I mean, almost all the parents that I am close with to some degree, like their kids are battling that. Parents are navigating like how to live in this like world that they're constantly battling the phone and the things that are available on the phone. I mean, all these things are just like really destroying our young people slowly. Yeah. It's like a slow fade, and so this is an answer to that. It's an intervention. I think at different times in my life, I've had more of a crisis of what am I doing? And is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I thought I would be doing something different. Because I think in the midst of family life, that's a little on the mundane side. You're persevering with the same routine over and over. So, I mean, I really think even at that point, like you really need to give and to serve and to get into a church community, get into a place where you can serve, because that brings life back into and excitement back into what you do, and it's not just for yourself. So you got to find a way to create meaning and purpose, and at every stage of your life, you should have mission.
So this has been an incredible conversation. We've covered a ton of ground, and I think it was just really incredibly informative and important for people to hear. Do you have any final word of encouragement or any advice that you would give anyone listening?
Yes. I would say to a young person, remember that God loves you and has a plan for your life. And career investigation, your mission in life is like a journey and it will unfold. And all you really have to do and focus on is the next right step. And don't forget to invite God into the process.
Awesome.
And if you need any help, I'm here. You can find me at mymissionmatch.com.
Yeah. And so how do you recommend people reach out to you? So mymissionmatch.com, that's your website.
And there's a phone number. Call the phone number. We'll have a discovery call and just start the conversation.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thank you again, Christina. Christina Mills from Mission Match. Thanks for joining the Echo podcast.
Thank you. My pleasure.